Now, if you clicked on this video, there's probably 3 things you want to know right away. Is it legal? Yes. Can you do it right away? Not really. Do you really need a college degree or any kind of certification? No. Today, I'm going to be telling you about one of the most overlooked professions for anyone without a college degree that wants to make some real money. Now, to give you some context, I make YouTube videos on the side, not for a living. What I do for a living is actually the job I'm telling you about today. I make videos on my Rubicon 392, my Grand Cherokee, my Camaro, whatever other cars I have at the time, and I get a lot of questions about how I actually afford it only being 23. Most of you that already watch the channel pretty much already know what I do for a living, but you don't really understand why or how. So let me start from the beginning. As I was graduating high school, I ended up getting a pretty decent injury, shattering my heel bone in senior year, the last of the year. So I pretty much ruled out all of the options to go play ball like I'd always planned. So with that, I decided to get a real job. That way I could go ahead and get established in the real world. Now, there aren't that many options for an 18-year-old with no degree, no qualifications, and no job experience. But I wanted to go after something that I had a passion for, and that was cars. So I ended up going to every dealership in the local area within about an hour and a half, 2 hours around where I'm actually from, and asked them if they had any sales positions available. Now, that didn't necessarily go as planned. It took weeks to be able to find the right place, that way I could actually start working. So I started as a salesperson in 2018 in the car business. Now, to skip all the boring stuff, for the next 2.5 to 3 years, I was a salesperson for a Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram store, basically learning how to perfect my craft and basically learn how to be a better car salesman in general. And the car business is a little bit different. If you're good, they really don't ask for your degree, for qualifications, for anything like that. So you're actually able to climb up the ladder in the car business pretty easily without any real certifications or degrees. Fast forward those 2.5 to 3 years, I was able to climb the ladder a little bit. I ended up being a service upgrade coordinator, and by the end of it, I ended up moving all the way to Nashville, Tennessee to be a floor manager. Now, after being a floor manager for an import store for only a few short months, I actually ended up looking for something else. I wanted to get out of the car business and into the automotive industry. My only way of doing that was a job that I found that was open for district sales manager for Dealer Services International. Now, that was a great job, and it was a dream job. I got to drive around all of Tennessee, get in touch with all of the actual general managers, the owners of the stores, and build really good relationships with them. The only problem was that was in the height of the automotive shortage. So there weren't that many 4-wheel drive vehicles around that you could just go and pick up. It wasn't like it used to be, to where you could pull up to a Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram dealership, see 10 2500s, 10 1500s, and 15 Wranglers. Now they only maybe had one of each, and that's if they were lucky. So it got pretty tough. Now, around that exact same time, my girlfriend and I actually found out she was pregnant. And with that, I had to decide if I wanted to leave my dream job that I'd actually got hired by the president of Polaris, Craig Scanlon. It was a great opportunity, and it seemed like it was really going to go somewhere. But it just wasn't going to be able to provide for what I wanted to do and everyone I needed to provide for at the time. So I ended up looking around a little bit more, and obviously one of my only options was to get back into the car business. I ended up getting a finance manager job at that same import store I had recently left. Now, finance manager jobs are pretty available. To be 100% honest, for every 10 salespeople, there's probably one finance manager at each dealership. So if you think about all the dealerships around in all the different areas, there are a lot of finance manager jobs that are really open. So most dealerships will have 2, some have 3, maybe even 4 or 5 at big, massive stores. So there's a lot of opportunities around. No matter what area you're in, there's a finance manager job somewhere. Keep in mind, at the time I was just 21. I hadn't been in the automotive industry, the car business, too awful long, just a little over 3 years, but I was pretty good. So I didn't really have to prove anything with degrees or certifications, anything like that. So I started to learn how to become a finance manager through trial and error. And they basically just throw you to the wolves in most cases, the same as whenever you're a salesperson. So you basically just have to figure it out. Now, the finance manager pay really depends on the area, the store you're at. It also depends on the amount of units you're actually touching. And then aside from that, it really depends on how good you actually are. So the pay scale on finance manager, really no matter where you are, can go anywhere from 10 grand on maybe not that good of a month, all the way up to maybe 30 grand plus if you're at a big store and it's doing good. So with that, it leaves a lot of room for opportunity, and a lot of opportunity that you can't really touch at 21 without a college degree or anything like that. To say it was super easy to be able to get in the position and for everything to line up for me to be the one to get it, that's not telling the truth. So it took a lot of work. Now, whenever you're in the car business, especially in sales, I mean, I was working bell to bell, so that's from open to close, from 9 o'clock until 8 o'clock, pretty much every single day, and maybe getting one off day a week if you're lucky. And I mean, that wears on you pretty quick. So I was working 70, 80 hours a week every single week for years and years. So I had as much job experience as someone that had actually worked in whatever field they had been doing for 6 years in the time I had just worked 3 years. So I had a good competitive advantage. And aside from that, like I say, I was pretty good at selling cars. So I knew cars extremely well. I had a really good passion for cars and wanting to learn more about them. And I was personable, so it was easy to make connections with customers and earn their trust to sell them a car. And that all translates to the finance position. Now, obviously, over a certain amount of time, I got exposed to the terminology that I would need to use in finance. You have to be a little bit more professional and a little bit more knowledgeable in terms of what actually goes into the deal, like the interest rate, like the term, like the value on the cars, being able to get them approved with the bank, being able to go over the right products and the products they may need, like warranty, 4-for-1, road hazard, maintenance, gap insurance, all that stuff. You have to go over it and you really have to pitch it to them. That way they know what they need. And you have to sell it or you don't make any money. To say finance is a little tough and it's not for everyone is an understatement, because not only do you have to do all the things I just talked about, you also have to get all the correct paperwork signed. You have to get everything turned into the state title department. You have to get everything funded with the bank. You have to deal with the salespeople. You have to deal with the customers, the sales managers. You have to deal with everybody in the entire dealership, and you're one of the main people that everyone will rely on. If an issue comes up, you're going to be the one that really has to fix it. So more times than not, a lot of people just can't handle the pressure and the stress of the actual position itself. And I'll be the first to say it's not actually fun, but there aren't many other opportunities to where you can earn that kind of money at the qualifications and the age that I'm at right now. So being able to get in that position at 21 was definitely life-changing. So 20 grand a month, whenever you think about it, and you're used to making maybe 5 to 10,000 a month like you typically do in sales, sounds like a lot. But after you pay taxes on it and everything like that, 20 grand a month really is not that much. And that's the first thing you need to know. More times than not, you're gonna run into something like maybe an average of 15 grand, depending on where you're at. But as you get better, you average more and more money. So I have seen finance managers that average 30 grand a month, which is pretty crazy. But there's also the same case where you see some that may average only 10 grand a month. So for the actual amount of work, the pressure and the stress, it's not worth getting paid just 10 grand a month. So you really have to establish yourself in that career, get better and learn every day. That way you can make the real money to make it worth it. Now, I've tried to make it as clear as I can that this isn't a get rich quick scheme or any kind of fake idea. This is a plan that anyone can set in place for themselves that does require a lot of work and a long-term commitment, which is the hardest part about any goal. But it's definitely possible and it's obviously achievable because I've done it myself. With the opportunities you get and the money you're able to be exposed to, it gives you the opportunity to really get a lot of the things you want and get started on a lot of the crazy things that you want to accomplish. I didn't start going aggressive on my YouTube really until I was a finance manager either, just because it gave me the ability to buy some of the crazy things I felt like I needed to make the automotive content that I wanted to. So it gives you some opportunities to do some pretty crazy stuff, but it's not easily achievable and it doesn't come free. Now, if you guys are interested in becoming a finance manager, obviously I've laid out the steps, but if you want to check out what it's like to be a salesperson, to be a finance manager, or to just work in the car business in general, check out some YouTube videos on it. See if that's something that you'd be open to do, and also check out some of the available jobs that are listed online. A lot of them will have a pay scale listed with it as well, and you'll see that right there on the advertisement, no college degree required. So there really are some great opportunities out there. You just have to be willing to work to get them. Well, I know this video is completely different than what we typically do here, but I hope it helps someone that's looking to go in this direction. Obviously, people are doing it, so why not you? If you haven't already, please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you want to see next. But until then, Godspeed.